This is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm NewsChannel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. We're so happy today to have the Speaker of the Senate, the Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey, to join us again on the show. Speaker Ramsey, always thank you so much for being willing to come
I love doing this, Pat. I do. Looking forward to it.
Before we start about what's going on at the Hill, an issue that's been up on Capitol Hill, although it's not necessarily directly in legislation right now, is what to do about the continued implementation of the National Health Care Act.
Mm-hmm.
There's a report out in just the last couple of days from Jackson Hewitt, the tax firm, basically sort of saying that in Tennessee it's going to cost millions of dollars to business owners because their employees are not going to be covered by this expansion. They won't be able to get insurance, and the employers will pay, I think, something as much as $42 million a year starting in 2015. Does that give you any second thoughts about Tennessee expanding?
Well, keep in mind, Pat, if we do expand it, it costs us literally $1 billion in taxes to do that because
but not in the first 2 years.
Not first 2 years. Well, I don't look at the first 2 years. I look at the long-range fiscal health of the state of Tennessee. If you look at states that look at the first 2 years, look at Illinois, look at California, that don't fully fund their pension fund, that don't make sure we have a rainy day fund. We don't do that in Tennessee. We look at a long-range plan. And my basic problem with all this is that the Tennessee Hospital Association sat down with the Barack Obama administration, cut a deal that will take less reimbursement if the states do Medicaid expansion. Now, the courts back last summer said that states aren't required to do Medicaid expansion. Hallelujah! That's that way we don't have this budget buster that's out there. So if the hospitals have a problem, go back to the Obama administration. Don't come to us. I wasn't ever a part of this deal that they made with the Obama administration. So I'm still not in favor of this because I do think in the long range it's not good for the fiscal health of Tennessee.
Another issue that's coming out of this, and some of your members are involved in this, there's a story that's out that the National Post has done mentioning senators like Steve Dickerson, Rusty Crowe, Farrell Hale. They're all apparently in some negotiations to try to come up with some way to put together a community safety net. Mm-hmm. Right now, because these folks are not going to be covered, a lot of them are going to wind up getting all their health care out of emergency rooms, which is very, very expensive. Are you familiar with this effort to try to put this safety net together? What would it be? What would it cost? Is it likely we're going to see something adopted this session by the
Well, I don't know if we'll get this session. We're all working hard on Mark Green, of course, a senator from up in Clarksville, that actually ran it for his business, is running emergency rooms, and he's seen this. And I do think that there is a model we can go back to, and there's a lot of moving parts in this, but it's an excellent concept, at least, that does provide that safety net. I mean, Pat, at our age, we can remember when the health department was more than just a place to get advice, or they actually did something. And so I think with the medical schools, we have one in each Grand Division, with the number of nurse practitioners that we have in nursing schools, there is a way of providing that safety net. Again, a lot of moving parts. I like the concept, but they're working diligently to see if we can find this.
There are bills in the legislature this term. A. Beavers has one that basically some people say is so restrictive in terms of people being able to do anything with the new National Health Care Act. They can't even go online to register for TennCare if they want to. Are we being a little too punitive about that? I mean, it is the law.
Bills like that are too punitive, no doubt about that. As a matter of fact, I think she withdrew that bill the last day or two because it was pretty punitive. Now, do I want Medicaid expansion? No. I do think that in the end, 5 years from now, we'd wish we'd never done that. I think that on its face, that the Obamacare is going to collapse eventually. So why do we want to be a part of this?
Let's talk about guns. Let's talk about wine in grocery stores. It's been up on the Hill for years. It looks like it may actually pass in both houses this year. There's talk about some kind of deal being close with the liquor industry in order to get the bills through, allow the referendums. Are we close to a deal, and what kind of a deal is it going to be?
Keep in mind, we've already passed a bill all the way through the state Senate. It's sitting on the Senate floor ready to be passed. And that bill, it will be up next Thursday. Bill Ketchum is the sponsor, and he'll have that up. I think the person that, one of the negotiators, was using some tactics there to act like there was a, quote, deal when there wasn't a deal. Because I've spoken to all sides of this, and the deal that he spoke about had never been agreed to. In other words, cutting out the Costco's and the Walmarts of the world, taking convenience stores out, allowing liquor stores to sell even more than what we'd compromised on last year. So I'm not sure that deal was done, but keep in mind we have a bill sitting on the Senate floor that we could have voted on last year. We're waiting on the House that we're going to move forward Thursday.
Do you expect that bill to stay intact, or some things to be added on it that we're talking about that might be a part of whatever deal is ultimately negotiated, say, by next Thursday?
Oh, there'll be some stuff added on to it. No doubt about that. That's what the legislative process is all about. The Senate passes the bill, the House passes the bill. There's 99 representatives, 33 senators. In the end, either we conform to what the House has done, or it goes to conference committee. But I hope, at least, I'd feel very confident we can pass the Senate next Thursday, probably, that we can get something through the House that the Senate can agree on.
Budget is tight this year, but it does appear at least one national anti-tax expert is coming to Tennessee, Grover Norquist, to talk about Tennessee further reducing, if not getting rid of, the hall income tax. That's been your issue for a long time. Are you happy to get this kind of national help?
Now, all I've ever advocated is to at least remove the hall income tax for those over the age 65 who have saved for retirement, and that they can draw their nest egg without paying interest, and then maybe even have an income cap on that, because I think it'd be very hard, especially in these economic times, to completely do away with the hall income tax. Would that be a great goal? Yes. But we're the lowest tax state in the nation right now, Pat, or one of the two or three. You have to have a basic amount of money to run state government. We don't have a lot of frills, and so we have to protect our base. That's the one reason on sales tax on food. I think that is so important we keep that intact.
So you're not necessarily going to push it this year, because this does look like it's going to be a pretty difficult budget year.
Well, if I have my druther, so to speak, I would nick at it a little more. We've done it the last 2 or 3 years, just keep that moving forward. But again, when you're under collection, now keep in mind, people say the tax collections are down in the state of Tennessee. Technically, they're up. We estimated last year to grow about, round figures, 3%, and we're growing about 2.5%. So we are growing, just not at the rate that we projected when we passed last year's budget.
Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey is our guest on Inside Politics. We'll continue our conversation with him after this break.